I feel like this whole medievalcore trend has rolled out in a weird way media-wise. It was predicted that in 2025 it was going to be the rise of medievalcore, especially with fashion, but I think it was expected that we'd also see the era come back in a big way on television and film, in a way that like Bridgerton helped push Regency core back a few years ago. We do have this new Game of Thrones prequel that immediately I can tell from the trailer is a lot lighter in tone, perhaps a bit comedic. It's leaning into, you know, those classic medieval tropes that people love, knights and jousts and oddball underdogs on an adventure, courtly dances, that sort of thing. Then there's this newly minted MGM Plus streaming service randomly dropping a new Robin Hood series on us. Now I'm torn. In some ways, it does feel like another case of like, yay, another remake. There's nothing mind-blowing about the trailer, but I'm kind of glad they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's got Sean Bean as Sheriff of Nottingham, obvious casting choice, and Connie Nielsen as Eleanor of Aquitaine. I do think we forget that Robin Hood was a mythical story and not a historical one, so this doesn't necessarily need to be historically accurate, but what I will say is that it feels very 80s/90s to me, and I'm not mad about it. Alongside a rise in 80s and 90s fashion, again, we're seeing it also on our screen. So I'm thinking Rivals, you know, there's this adorable new show called Murder at Evensong, which I didn't realize how much I missed settings in our recent memory without phones and social media, but there is something that feels so familiar yet distant and romanticized about, you know, a time that gets further and further away from us. I feel like this Robin Hood was intentionally made with a 90s feel to make people feel more connected to a 90s Robin Hood and Braveheart and Elizabeth, Ever After, Men in Tights, and A Knight's Tale. Will this be any good? I don't know. But I will say, people are nostalgic for the 90s. You know, medieval core and an underdog, you know, stealing from the rich to give to the poor. Even if this is a more cheesy adaptation than groundbreaking, it might land in the right cultural spot to be a cozy, adventurous hit that people really enjoy.